as well as updates on the product. So let me see here. I hadn't started my video. So hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Orwell. I'll jump into the slides here. So I lead our Vuforia product management team here at PTC. For those of you that don't know me, I've been at PTC for 20 years, the last 6-7 of it on the Vuforia side. So I've got a background in Windchill, in ThingWorks, and then obviously many years here on the Vuforia side. So proud to introduce the rest of the product management team here today. Got a very strong team, so I want to make sure that everyone is aware and knows who is leading from a product management perspective each of our products, and who you can reach out to and connect with when you have specific questions or want to share feedback on a specific product. So we'll start from left to right here on this slide. Evan, you want to introduce yourself and say hi to the team here?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for having me. So I'm the PM for Vuforia Engine. So if you start working with Engine or have any questions, I'm happy to help you over some of the initial hurdles that Engine can have as you learn the different tools. So yeah, any questions about Engine, send them my way. Happy to help.
Sure, I'll go next. My name is Dan Hitomi, and I'm the Vuforia Expert Capture lead, and work closely with Niels and honestly with everybody here. So based in Los Angeles, California. Turn over to Niels.
I'm Niels Peterson. Co-leading the Vuforia Expert Capture in the product management team, and more focused on the manufacturing topics, and thereby also the step check lead. So when it comes to step check or manufacturing, or you just live in a European time zone, then I'm happy to hop on the call with you.
And the last in the row is Mick Gavard. I'm a product manager for Studio at the moment. I'm with PTC since the beginning of Vuforia, so 6-7 years now. Before that, I was doing AR for 25 years, so I have a lot of experience in AR. But at the moment, I'm responsible for Studio and also doing some advanced research. Happy to help whenever you have a question about Studio.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome Mick. Mick's new to the PM side, but not new at all to Vuforia or AR, but has been a huge help in helping drive the Vuforia Studio product. So definitely reach out to Mick, because that is a change probably since last time we connected with this group on who was leading Vuforia Studio. So I want to make sure that is called out to everyone. So thanks team for the introductions, and yeah, please everyone else on the call, yeah, do not hesitate to reach out to anybody on the team. All right, I'll jump in here and team jump in with comments, color commentary at any point along the way, and then we'll switch over to open questions and discussion. So it won't take too long here, but I'll just give some updates on our strategy from the Vuforia perspective going forward, wrapping up this year and going into next year, and then as part of that, provide some updates on some recent product improvements and updates that have gone in the product, just so that if you haven't seen them, you're aware of them, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's coming. This won't cover everything intentionally, because I do want to make sure that we do a deeper dive into each of the products and talk about the roadmap, the direction, the backlog for each of the products. Obviously, we'll take questions and things like that, but we'll have future sessions, either virtually like this, or some of them hopefully in person at PTC User, where we dig into specific products and specific backlog for each one of them.
Ryan, quick thing.
Yeah.
So on the slide, you have that PTC confidential and proprietary information. I'm recording it. I'm going to put it on the PTC User. Is it okay?
Yeah, that it's okay for there. Just don't share it outside of this audience is what that means.
All right.
Yep, no problem. Okay, so when we on the Vivoria team and the product management team, look at what our goals are, what our objectives are, we break down our strategy into three main areas of what we're putting our capacity towards for our backlog. So the first is in enhancing the targeted use cases, meaning that the use cases that are a great way to leverage augmented reality and get the most benefit from augmented reality. So we'll look at what those use cases are, and then what we're doing in some of those use cases, in recently and then in an upcoming, to help improve, how you can leverage AR in those use cases. Then we'll talk about advancing our differentiating AR and AI technology, what advancements that we're making in computer vision and AI when it comes to tracking and step check and those pieces, so that we're continuing to provide the cutting edge technology and market leading technology that you come to expect with Vuforia. And then, of course, lastly is expanding the digital thread. So being able to leverage existing, CAD, PLM data and use AR as a way to view it and get, the richest context out of that and be able to consume it, in a much easier to understand and easier way to consume and get the value out of it. So I put the differentiating AR and AI technology in the middle here on purpose, because what we're doing there comes with the intention of everything that we're doing is to improve our existing current products and the use cases that they fit, and then as well as the digital thread capabilities as well. So what we're doing there has direct overlap in both of those areas. So we'll look at that, talk about that as well. Just a quick reminder. So I did share this for those of you that were at the roadmap session at the last PTC user event in Florida. Still focused on the same top use cases where we've identified that AR is a strong fit and gets the most ROI out of using it. So end of line inspection, service scenarios, locating components, parts, wiring, all of that to help out with service. Machine operations or customer self-service on how to maintain, operate, keep machines up and running. Training, obviously, and digital mentor, using AR to teach, new hires, new people to the company, so they get up to speed much faster and quicker. And then lastly, line changeover, line clearance for when you need to switch a line over to create a new part, a new product, or develop a new pill or vaccine. Line changeovers is very important to get correct so that there aren't any issues. So this is still our focus. So we're always making sure that the features that we put in are helping in these areas to make sure that we're getting all of the capabilities that you need to be successful in these use cases. It's not limited to only these use cases, but these are the key ones where we see the most traction. So I want to spend some time specifically today on end of line inspection and talk about step check. So step check obviously has been out for a while now. So hopefully everyone has seen our AI capabilities within Expert Capture to help inform users when they have completed a step correctly or not, and then be able to record that and track that. So getting some fantastic feedback and stories from customers on the improvements and the cost savings and the efficiency that they're gaining from this, to make sure that they're putting out the quality products that that they're expected to for their brand. So as I mentioned, hopefully everyone has seen this. It's not new there, but do have some updates on what has come out since we last met in Florida, and then what we're working on next. So one of those things that was I teased back then was step check auto proceed. We were very close to getting this out at that point, and now it's out. It's been out for quite a bit actually, and so being able to then when the step is identified, in step checks that can identify that the step was completed correctly, it automatically moves the user onto the next step. So really improving that takt time and just reducing the overall time it takes to complete the inspection procedure, to making the worker more efficient. But what also was happening there, which is happening so quick, it's very difficult to see, is that it's integrated with what we call auto image feedback. So as the step step check is being done to evaluate if the person did the step correct or not, it's actually taking a photo image for proof of the state, if it was correct or not. And all of that is then being saved back through our V4A Insights portal, so that you have an automatic recording history or audit trail of the work was either done correctly or not. So you can always go back and as you saw, all of that was done without the user having to interact to hit next step or next button or take a picture. You can always choose to go back and do more. But this is really an important update to step check to make sure that the worker is operating efficiently and getting their job done in a much more efficient way than they had been in the past. We haven't stopped there though. We've come out with some updates to make the authoring side easier as well when it comes to step checks. So reusable step checks. So that step checks can be used across steps, and so the training that was done, for one, doesn't have to be redone for doing the same thing in another step. If you're checking that a screw was screwed in correctly, it's the same, from step to step. No need to retrain and go through all of that for every time that same check needs to be done. So now you can reuse those step checks across steps. And we also recently just added support for part markers. So being able to select a part that is used as the area that is trained on, learned on, to make sure that the step was done correctly instead of just points. So now you can use both point markers and part markers to identify where the system needs to be looking to make sure that the step was done correctly. So we're also that's all now out in the product, and I don't have a slide for what we're working on next, but obviously step check is a big main focus for us, and it's a key capability, key feature for expert capture, and so we're continuing to work on ways to improve just the efficiency of the authoring and learning and creation of step checks, and being able to reduce it down to not having to do the training on both pass and fail states. So we've got some very promising early work that's already been done and completed to reduce down to just being able to train on a single pass image, and really eliminating a bunch of the time that goes into creating that model that's required to make sure that the results of the step check of telling the user if it's been done correctly or not, pass fail, is accurate, and really reducing that down to much shorter amount of time. So we're going to keep working on that. We don't have a specific timeline identified for that, but we're very excited with the progress that we're making there, is to make the overall authoring and consumption of step check much easier and quicker. So that was my update on the inspection side. The next few things don't really fall into a specific use case, but kind of apply to many of them or all of them, but do want to share some important updates that have come out. Still on the expert capture side, when we met back in Florida, we were still working on our third-party API updates, and that was in beta at the time, and then shortly after that, so it's been quite a while now actually, we did release our third-party API access in expert capture. So now you can use our out-of-the-box APIs to take data, to reuse that or send that data that is collected during the execution of procedures of who completed which procedures when, which steps passed, which steps failed, and send that to other third-party systems that you have. So whether that's training systems, whether that's service systems, you can now integrate expert capture into those processes that you already have, so that you can leverage that data and use that to drive the business processes that you already have in place. So if you weren't aware of that, please, our expert capture customer, make sure you're leveraging that today, and reach out if you have any questions on how to do that. On both the expert capture and studio side, we're focused on improving user management, and so that you can manage your users and get more users into the system that you need to be using the system. On the expert capture side, we released auto registration. So if you have single sign-on enabled, you can turn on auto registration where users can jump right into the system. If they're given a QR code or a link to a procedure, they can auto register themselves and get access to those internally. When I say public, it's internally accessible to all of your registered users content. So if you have procedures and expert capture that you want all of the users in your system to have access to, they can do that without having to go through the admin invite, sending an email, them getting the email, registering there, and then having to get access. So all that can be done much more efficiently. And so now in our admin portal, through our underlying Atlas architecture, admins can now turn this on and specify which domains, email domains, you want to have access to auto registration. Of course, single sign-on has to be already configured and everything set up there for that to work and to happen. But a huge update, huge advancement to making it just easier for users to get into the system and getting the value out of the procedures that are there in the system. And then on the studio side, just released support for single sign-on on the on-prem side for Okta and Azure AD, or now, as Microsoft calls it, Entra ID. So much broader expansion on our single sign-on support. So I know this has been one that's been asked for and long time coming. So happy to get that out there. So I just want to make sure everyone was aware of that if you haven't taken advantage of those capabilities already. I'm going to switch back to expert capture here for a couple slides, and then finish in this area on another studio update that we're working on. The first is for expert capture is work that is now in beta for mobile capture. So heard a lot of feedback that the capture app would be really great if it could expand from support today that we have on HoloLens 2, real-world devices, and Magic Leap, to being able to use phones and tablets. And so making great progress, as you can see here in the early versions of this. And so we do have a beta. Dan, I forgot to put the QR code in here if you want to throw that in the chat for people to reach out on that if there's interest in joining the beta. Or getting early access and being involved with us on that, please do so. But making great progress here and getting close to having this out commercially, so that you can create those captures and import those captures into the editor by creating them first on a phone or tablet, rather than having to require using a pair of smart glasses to do so. And then speaking of smart glasses, we are continuing to make progress on support for expert capture first on our Apple Vision for the Apple Vision Pro device. And so, Dimitri, you had mentioned you have a question on HoloLens, and this plays into what you're probably going to ask, but we can come back to that. We know that there's been some announcements, some updates when it comes to the smart glasses manufacturers, out there, and some of them, like the HoloLens are losing some steam and announcing, plans for end of life, with no clear plan or direction of a replacement device. While meanwhile, Apple has come out with the Vision Pro, and we fully recognize that the device isn't the same as some of the other smart glasses that are out there in the market today, but it is an amazing device and can do a lot of things that previous devices couldn't do. So while it might not be, and this we'll want to get more feedback on from those on the call that have used this or tested this device out, to validate some of this is it might not be the same type of device that you want to roll out at scale to a factory floor setting or service setting, but what we have learned is that it's very valuable for controlled settings, in classroom type training, practice on a procedure before having to go out to the floor or to the field to execute it, to be able to learn and train on procedures. It's fantastic for that. So we're updating or rolling or working on support for expert capture to be able to run through a procedure, a standard expert capture procedure, but with a virtual holographic model of the physical product, instead of tracking and overlaying that content onto the physical product, but seeing it there in a virtual form, and then being able to go through all of the content and being guided to where you need to go and work for each step. You still have all the text, all of the images, all of the videos to help support that, and then be able to use that in that training use case, like I mentioned at the beginning. So we're making good progress on this and getting towards a public beta. So if there's interest in this, please do let us know as well. And then lastly in this section, just want to highlight one of the piece on the studio side that we're working on is creating some more efficient capabilities out of the box. We get a lot of customers that are creating shaders, custom shaders, that require some technical capability and support. So we're coming out with out of the box what we'll call visual effects for some of the most common custom shaders that we see our customers creating or using. So things like part highlight, X-ray, cross section, and so we're working on these things now. And figuring out timing for when that will come, but just wanted to give a preview of some of the work that's happening at the moment. And now looking a little bit further out, going back to our strategy and now focusing on the middle pillar here of advancing or differentiating AR and AI technology. And again, these things will show up across all of our products and even in other PTC products. You may have heard us talking about state-based model targets in the past as well. We're continuing to make good progress here. I've got another slide on this one in a moment, but being able to ensure that we can keep tracking, keep localized, keep the hologram stable from step to step in a work instruction when the state of that physical object is changing. And so that's very, very key, very important, going back to those use cases for assembly, for service, for maintenance, when pieces, parts, assemblies are being added or removed, that tracking can stay on and locked on. So we now have state-based model targets in beta for Vuforia Engine, and then working to bring this to Vuforia Studio, which I'll cover here in a moment. And then obviously we get lots of, on the right side here of the slide, we get lots of requests for improvements to our advanced model target capabilities, especially with being able to use them more easily on-prem. So we're investigating ways and researching ways to be able to bring our advanced model targets to on-prem capabilities to make that much easier. So we're very excited about the early advancements that we have there. We're going to keep working on that and figuring out what the timeline is for that. But do know that we're working on making that capability available on-prem as well. And going back now to state-based model targets, just wanted to mention that we do have this now in beta on the engine side, but we are working on this obviously for the intent to bring this to Studio and then Expert Capture. So making more progress on the Studio side, and so we do have some ways that with help from services or from PTC to manually provide this or get some early feedback on the Studio side. So we're very excited about that as well. So wanted to just mention that obviously we're doing this work to then have it show up in our products and working towards that there first when it comes to Studio. And then lastly, I'll just touch on this quickly. The last piece of expanding the digital thread or reuse of data. And when we know that customers have vast amounts of CAD and PLM data, and being able to bring that through to create sort of the finishing pieces of that data, AR is the best way to then view and consume that data. So making that pipeline easier to use and easier to leverage is a key strategy when it comes to AR when it comes to PTC. So you'll see this slide a lot from PTC presentations. And AR is something that sort of sits across all of the different avenues of where that digital thread data can be leveraged. So what we're working on now is being able to work with our counterparts in other products within PTC to really leverage AR in different use cases when it comes to manufacturing. So being able to use PLM CAD data to train users on how to do assembly or how to do inspection. And then use AR and step check, for those inspection pieces like we just talked about earlier, through NPM link, through Windchill, to make that easier. And obviously there's use cases when it comes to engineering, and visualizing that data as it's being engineered, to see it in life-size scale. So we have capabilities on the Creo side today with Creo AR Design Share. So looking at ways to expand that. And then obviously service is a fantastic way to use AR. So to provide information to those service techs on how to complete or give the information that they need when it comes to completing a service task, and leveraging data that exists upstream. So figuring out, so we're working on services and then ways to display this, in working with our counterparts in PTC to make this digital thread story happen. So there'll be more updates on this, and we want some more feedback on this, but wanted to mention that this is something that we're actively investigating and figuring out requirements for. So that was the end of just my update. So wanted to then now to turn it over to questions, and if there's anything from the customers on the chat here that you wanted to bring up on any of that is fair game. And I apologize for my voice running out here. I'm under the weather and try my best to stick it out. So bear with me.
So Ryan, great presentation. You actually preempted like 3 of my questions. So yeah.
Start us off though. Did you have others?
Microsoft HoloLens was one question, and so just to clarify, Vision is fully supported by PTC now?
So not fully. It depends what you mean by fully. So
it's officially product.
Give some background on that. Officially, we did roll out support for the Apple Vision Pro for our Onshape product. As I mentioned, the Vision Pro is a great device for certain use cases and scenarios. And viewing engineering data is one of them. So the first thing that we rolled out at PTC was an app on the Vision Pro for Onshape. So that's in the store today. So if you happen to also be an Onshape customer, you can go check that out today. Or even if you're not, you can download that app and check it out. And so then we're leveraging what we learned working with Apple early on that device, even before it was released. We've been working with them for several years now, actually, and now leveraging that relationship and the knowledge that we've gained through that to then bring it to Expert Capture first. We're working on both support at the moment for Expert Capture and Engine, but on the Engine side, the capabilities to do so were much more the APIs that we needed for camera feed access have been much more recently opened to us. So that work is still more early on, and we're making good progress there. But we've been able to be making progress on the Expert Capture side much earlier because we could do what was shown in that video without having to leverage camera feed APIs, then being able to display the virtual hologram, on a table, on a workbench, on the floor, and then to be able to walk, through a procedure in expert capture. So right now, that's like we have that like kind of I guess we would call it internal alpha, and we're getting feedback from people internally to PTC and getting close to opening that up to customers that do have an Apple Vision Pro to try that out for expert capture. So Dan posted here in the meeting chat, if you do have an Apple Vision Pro, or even if you're just interested in learning more about it and being part of what we're doing there, he provided a QR code that you can scan and then use that to connect with us on the Apple Vision Pro support.
Quick question. When would you expect Apple Vision support for ThingWorx and Vuforia?
Can you be a little more specific on what you mean by ThingWorx and Vuforia? Are you specifically talking about studio capabilities of viewing ThingWorx live IoT data in a studio experience?
Yes.
Got it. Good question. We're working on that, figuring that out. That part of that is going to depend on the Vuforia engine support that I mentioned that we're working on first. Once we have that, then we can bring in support to Studio. So we don't have a date timeline on that, but it's definitely something that we would like to hear more feedback on. So I think, Philip, that was you that asked that. If you can reach out to us on that, Scan Like You Were, reach out to us. We'd love to get learn, or maybe you can share more now on just what you would be looking to do with Apple Vision Pro and Vuforia Studio.
Turns out one of our common use cases today is demonstrating spacecraft in large group environments. Today we're using a JPL product called Protospace that's more of a research effort. We don't have hopes for long-term support for that, and of course our hopes for long-term support for the HoloLens are also fading, so we're looking at some ways to replicate that kind of capability in other hardware and software, and it's been difficult.
In particular, talk about the use case that you have there.
So turns out I end up doing a lot of demos where APL is showing spacecraft programs to perhaps new groups of users, or design reviews for reviews with NASA and other folks. So literally I've got a dozen HoloLenses in here right now, and I can get a dozen people set up on that, and everybody's seeing a spacecraft model that they can stick their head inside of, walk around, look under in real time in a shared immersive environment. Turns out this has been it's kind of just one use case, but it's been a very effective way for us to share our spacecraft programs and the work that we're doing here at the lab. And we're kind of watching a lot of our capabilities look like they have dead ends baked into them. So we're looking at other capabilities, and even I've got to admit what I'll call a physical AR, pass-through AR, where you actually see through it. It works really well for large groups of relatively unskilled people who aren't maybe used to dealing with camera delays or situations where they can run into walls. And the HoloLens has been great for stuff like that. It allows us to quickly and easily share those kind of things with large groups of people. I've even done this in, say, a sales conference kind of environment where we're putting people in and out of the headsets all day long. So looking to find a solution for that, I'd love to get closer to the ThingWorx Vuforia side of the world just to maintain compatibility with the rest of our Creo environment. But
yeah,
things have lagged a bit in that world.
Yeah, and then we're seeing that too. I think what you described there is a fantastic fit for what we would agree with you on for the Apple Vision Pro, and that device as a great way to use that device and leverage it. Can you explain more on where the ThingWorx piece comes into that scenario that I mentioned? Like, where's the live data or just the ThingWorx
actually,
connection?
For what I'm talking about here, this is not through ThingWorx. This is actually through Protospace. It's less live data, so I'm not really using the ThingWorx side of it in that particular use case. We do have some other use cases there where I would like to make use of the IoT side of it. And again, Protospace, as it turns out, was a utility developed towards certain mechanical CAD data applications. And because it's done by another lab similar to us, we've been able to license it, but JPL has already shown they're really not interested in trying to take on the role of a software developer for a tool. So we're having to look at other options in the future.
Yeah, what Phil is explaining, like where ThinkWorks comes in, basically we are using ThinkWorks Exchange Server for we have on-prem ThinkWorks Exchange Server, so the server allows us to invite all people to the experience, and we are creating that Vuforia experience on the server. And it was at one point we were connecting that ThinkWorks server to the PLM server, so all that data, what you were talking about, the MPM link connection, that's what we are trying to explore right now. We would like to have that information flow from experience into MPM link process, MPM process, and so ThinkWorks would be part of it, right? So it will go through that. So that's kind of where we are today. And again,
Ryan, just
it's HoloLens.
One of the other use cases I've got actually that's more oriented toward ThingWorks and Vuforia, though not the HoloLens, because I don't have that support, using handheld iPads for this right now, augmenting wiring harnesses, virtual wiring harnesses on top of physical spacecraft fixtures. And that's a melding of the two worlds. So I need to model target to a spacecraft structure and then add things like wiring harness, tie-off, related hardware to harnessing. Oftentimes we have physical spacecraft structure that's already built, but a wiring harness is designed but not yet fabricated, and technicians who want to know exactly where that wiring harness is going to. So standoff, tie down, and harness augmentation. And that's actually, we've done some of that in the past with Vuforia. It can work very well. I'd love to see that incorporated with HoloLens / Apple Vision Pro or similar pass-through style AR goggles.
Yeah, you bet. Mick, I saw you came off mute. I didn't mean to interrupt if you had a question on or wanted to ask something.
No, I thought maybe the expert capture would be a first start for even if it's procedure oriented. I think maybe expert capture could be used for visualization of the 3D data so it might not be an ideal solution, but at least it would allow Philip to see how the experience would look like, because there's a virtual object that he could have in the environment and visualize that. So maybe that's a way to do it. And the other, I think they are working on at the moment on an extension to the Onshape visualization that allows to read Creo data. So if this is coming out, this might be another way of dealing with it. And as I said, it will take a little bit of time to have the Apple Vision Pro in for Studio, because we need the engine support first, and only after that we will be able to think about it and visualize it. What's about did you consider a Magic Leap device? We're supporting that on Engine at the moment, but Magic Leap is also an optical see-through device and uses very similar technology like the HoloLens. It tries to kind of jump into this hole that the HoloLens is creating at the moment. Is there any thinking about that on your side?
I think
we have not. Go ahead, Dmitry.
Yeah, I think we kind of at one point we looked at Magic Leap and well, HoloLens was just releasing the, I think, second version of HoloLens 2. So at that point, we kind of like looked at the Magic Leap and we didn't switch to that. We didn't look.
Yeah. Okay. And what's about the Quest? Is there thinking about that device that might also help us to understand a little bit more because this from a technology point of view, it's very similar to the Apple Vision Pro, and people are happy with the price tag that it's on there. So if you have a dozen of those, the price tag might play a role here. And so, did you consider the Quest to be looked into it? It's a video
No,
see-through.
I don't think we looked at the Quest. Just
I know there are some people looking at it at APL. I haven't spent much time with the Quest.
Okay. Okay. Because such a feedback would help us to also prioritize our work on those devices. If you have the feeling that this device would make a lot of sense on your side, we could kind of raise the priorities on our side as well.
Can we get?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, just I would like to get a demo or maybe just find something online on what the capabilities exist today for the Apple Vision Pro. I think just for OnShape. I'm wondering if OnShape, that capability might meet some of what we're doing in like a group demo environment.
Yeah.
Is there someplace I can find out more about what exists today for that?
Yep. I'll find that link and I'll share it here with the group.
Okay, thank you.
You said that PTC is looking at the kind of going from Creo to OnShape to Vision Pro. That's the path.
No. So the OnShape Vision application is currently able to read OnShape data only.
Yep.
And maybe in the future it might be able to read Creo data as well. So you would basically import the Creo file and visualize it in a group manner in the same capability as you do it for OnShape data, and you might have even a mixed experience coming data from both of our CAD systems.
Okay.
I just want to follow up on Michael's question. Hey, Michael, I see Evan answered, but Michael's question was, does the V4 engine support the MetaQuest 3? No, we don't support the MetaQuest devices on any of the V4 products at the moment. But Mick was asking this just to get together. We're always looking and open to feedback from what devices you're looking at, what devices you feel would be a good fit for the use cases that you want to use ARVR for. So anytime you have any feedback on hey, we've looked at this device, we think it'd be really good for this. We want to use it in this way. That helps us with understanding, what is the most important things for us to prioritize and go after. So that's if you have any feedback on that any time, we're always open to hearing that.
And also in our conversations with Meta, being able to list customers or interested people who want support helps us make the case to them to give us the camera feed. So it's always helpful to learn when you want something, because then we can make the ask.
Exactly.
And I
What are the
guess
questions? Yeah, Dimitri.
Yeah, I think we would want to kind of see a little bit more about the MPM and Vuforia integration, and also you said that the API which you just started working on, allows you to do the step um, um, step capture. So we would like to see that as well, because as Phil mentioned, we have the experience where we are putting the harness on top of um, uh, what will be a spacecraft, and we are trying to create digital work instructions kind of for technicians to go from port to port to port to assemble those. So there are two questions here. One is MPM connection to MPM, and now what we are having issues with is stability of that experience. So we are trying to use the targets 360. Well, not 360, but basically it's a model target, but we are trying to kind of set up multiple views to that target, a multiple guided view, and that makes the stability a little bit better, but it's still kind of an issue. So any improvements there, and what kind of future? Right now, if you want to do the model target 360, you have to send data to a cloud, which we cannot do. So it has to be on-prem for us.
Mhm.
I mean, do you want to take that one, and then I'll come back to the NPM link one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that is something that a lot of our customers have the same concern. They have high security situations where they can't upload their models to the cloud. And so I'm happy to tell you that we have been working on that problem for a while now, and we are getting close to running some beta programs for some solutions to that, where you could get more advanced model targets that can run on premises. Unfortunately, I'm not ready to share any more information than that, but when we do run the beta program, I'd love to have you participate and get your feedback. Would that be okay if I keep you posted about it?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes, we'd appreciate that.
Yeah, please, let me know. And anyone on this call who wants to participate in the beta program for that, please let me know. Love to have you.
Be great. And then, so coming back to the NPM link question, can you talk a little bit more about what data that you have in NPM that you're looking to get through? Is that, do you have process plans already created that have step-by-step instructions for assembly? Do you have Creo Illustrate sequences that show that progression? What information do you have in there that, or is it others just the wiring or schematic data as well? What type of data do you have in there that you're specifically looking at to get through, and for what purposes?
So we have few things going in parallel. While I was asking, so I'm asking this question because on the other side, we like parallel to this, we are evaluating like how we can use NPM. Today we have like work instructions which are it's a Word document, right? So we cannot really digitize on that. We cannot do anything. So one step forward from that, a few years ago, we started using Creo Illustrate. So we would create the instructions in Creo Illustrate. When we started using Creo Illustrate, kind of not everything would go to AR from Creo Illustrate. So that was a little bit of bottleneck, and actually a little bit tangent question here. How can we use Creo Illustrate sequences in the Vuforia engine? Because it's not animation as Unity would understand it. What Creo Illustrate sequence is not an animation in terms of Unity. So we couldn't really export it to anything. And so they would recreate all of that stuff in Unity to create some kind of animation, some kind of movement, moving experience. And that was a little bit of a disconnect because we would have digital instructions in Creo Illustrate, but we cannot use it forward. So we are trying to evaluate npm link for work instructions kind of instead of Creo Illustrate. So Creo Illustrate will just create the capture, the screenshots, the form, and the instructions themselves will be in the npm link.
Got it.
And
using it together.
The results. So the other question is basically, as we are looking at it through AR, either it's a mobile device or HoloLens or whatever, we want confirmation that, okay, this step has been completed and approved by technician or by somebody in that area. And that information has to go back to, okay, step completed and somebody signed on that. So we need that cycle. And so far right now, I don't think we have any tools to really show us the complete loop there.
Yep. This is one we hear, and we'd love to dig into this one more. I think we could have a whole session on this one, which we probably should. Speaking of that, we're out of time here, Dimitri, but do you want to just take a moment to talk about PTC User and submissions for topics?
I think we will reschedule this meeting and I hope we will have more people. But yeah, the quick thing I have to plug in that we will have a PTC user meeting in Orlando. For that meeting, we don't really have any presentations right now to review on this subject on ARVR. So we need to have please submit something and we will review and we will have, if not, we will just have an hour or two open discussion about the ARVR. So if we don't have presentation, we will have the PTC kind of work, whatever roadmap you have for a future, we will discuss that and we will discuss issues at the Orlando meeting.
Yeah, so we're going to submit those. We're working on that from the PTC PM team side. So we'll have those in there.
New Orleans. Sorry.
It is New Orleans, correct. But so we'll get those ones in there. But it's I want to stress it's much better if there's specific topics coming from the customers from the PTC user base, because those ones will get higher priority and get approved to make sure we get those in. So please don't hesitate. Submit if there's a specific topic on, if it's eyewear, if it's step check, if it's leveraging digital thread data. Please submit those yourself so that we'll be there. We'll help facilitate those discussions. We want to hear that feedback, but having it come directly from you as the customer, essentially make sure it gets selected and we get a spot for that. So don't hesitate to do that. We very much want you to do that. So please do so.
All right, and yeah, we're out of time. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, PTC guys. It was very informative. It was good. And I will, Ryan, we will exchange a couple of dates. So we will have in our meeting kind of in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Right.
Thanks, everyone.